Hello and welcome to the Level 30 Podcast. Welcome back to the Level 30 Podcast. If you're joining us for the second time, if not, please check out our pilot episode that we did twice for you. We liked it so much, we did it twice. I'm sitting down today with Kevin and Joe, yet again, here to discuss some Level 30 gaming goodness. And on that note, hello, Kevin.
Hello, Tom.
Hi.
Hi.
Joseph, hello.
Hey, Tom.
Hey.
Thomas.
That's my name. So we started the rundown for this show about a week and a half ago. We were pretty, I was content. Joe didn't check it until about 20 minutes ago. Kevin, thank you.
I wasn't here 20 minutes ago.
That is also true. We were really kind of happy with how much stuff there was to talk about. And then in the last 3 days,
36 hours or
so.
Yeah,
more and more stuff kept coming out. So we know that we're behind the times a little bit because we just don't have the time in our lives to do this as often as we would like to.
That's what it means to be a level 30 gamer.
That's what it does mean. But we got a lot of things that we kind of squeezed in the last minute, so I apologize if the rundown seems a little dated at first, but we're going to get into some newer stuff as we progress on through. We have some viewer questions that we have down towards the end as well. Got some stuff that we've been playing that is hopefully a little bit different. I know it is on my end. Not looking too confident at you two, but we do what we can. So we wanted to open today's show, and if you haven't checked out our latest review on Fire Emblem, do that. It's fantastic.
It's a good one.
I put a lot of time into that one. I'm really proud of it, and it's been steady. But check out our YouTube channel. Like our videos, subscribe to our channel. Check us out on Twitter at Level 30 Games, and follow us, and you'll get updates and behind-the-scenes stuff, and you'll know when we go live because we're going to be doing some live streams in the near future. Anyway, I wanted to talk to you gents today about something that is near and dear to my heart because it's something that I grew up with predominantly. Now, I remember I was old enough to get a Nintendo system for Christmas, which was a miracle because I never thought it would happen, and I loved it. But for what it's worth...
How old were you?
I was 6,
okay,
7, first grade.
So I'm thinking when that came
8
out.
maybe?
Okay.
Tiny Tom getting his first little Nintendo.
Yeah.
Go on. I didn't interrupt. I didn't mean to interrupt.
No, that's okay. That's okay.
Well, I know what system he's talking about, so...
No, that was a wonderful moment, but the Super Nintendo has always been my favorite console of all time, without question. I think the games hold up incredibly well. I think that art style is timeless and classic. The sound that came out of that machine was
amazing.
Holy cow.
Yeah.
And so there's been rumor and word about potentially Super Nintendo games making their way to the Switch via Nintendo Switch Online. We don't know what this looks like in regards to format. We don't know if it's going to be a separate app, kind of like the NES Classics app on the system. Or it's going to be they're going to merge that together and have one kind of online thing. So I don't really know.
Yeah, nobody does yet.
But Kevin, you were creeping on that news early. What do you think? Your impressions are of how that's going to come together, if it's going to come together.
I could see Nintendo doing it as a separate app. So you have the NES. I forget the full title, but it's the NES Switch Online, and I could see the Super Nintendo one being its own icon.
Okay.
I am leaning toward they're probably going to have different pricing levels.
Oh, so you think they're going to tier the Nintendo Switch Online?
Other people have discussed this too. Nintendo values their IPs very highly. Their first-party games don't drop in price for a long time. You know what I mean?
No, that's true. Yeah.
So honestly,
I can't see them charging just $20 a year for I have the individual subscription,
right? And
then giving you all that stuff for that price.
Yeah, no, that's a really fair point.
So you're saying that with the launch of the SNES games, they're going to introduce new pricing models to Nintendo Switch Online in general?
Or maybe Nintendo Switch Online will always get you what it currently has and the free NES games, but if you want the Super Nintendo games, maybe that's its own thing that you pay for, and maybe it's $5 a year, $10 a year. I don't know what they're going to do with it.
Yeah, so could this be a service that potentially every time they say, okay, guess what, guys, GameCube games are next?
Yeah.
And now our yearly plan is rolling out to $35, and here's 64 games. That's a very strong possibility.
I just don't know how they're going to do it. I just want to know. And that controller, I'm buying it.
Yeah, so if we're not
officially announced, but it's coming.
No. So that's what fueled the rumor mill a little bit, was that there was an FCC filing for a new wireless controller that basically the schematic was identical to the Super Nintendo controller.
Yeah.
Same button layout and everything.
Whoa. Pump the brakes.
Hope I'm pumping.
There was no button layout.
No button layout.
It was the shape of the controller, but it had like the FCC stuff, the label. There was no buttons on it.
No buttons,
but
no
the
D-pad,
shape-
start, select, any of that was
none of
not
that.
present? Okay.
No, not what I
My
saw.
apologies.
Unless they've come out with more stuff with it, but the initial stuff I saw was just the shape of it, and then like some FCC
Like branding?
info. Yeah,
okay,
branding
so
and
maybe,
stuff.
all right, so maybe some
But that
filing
shape is
information.
unmistakable.
Oh, no, without
So-
question, yeah. The one thing that did stick out, and I did see this too, since I guess it was a focal point of the rumors, was that people had noticed on the top of the controller the little slidey tabs. So this is an FCC filing for a wireless SNES controller that is akin to the wireless NES controllers that Nintendo put out and made available for their Nintendo Switch online subscribers for what, $60?
It was, I think 60's right. I think it was $59.99.
All right, so those were for subscribers only, correct?
Correct.
Right. So again, encouraging people to pay for a subscription service
So they can buy hardware.
right.
You don't have
buy
to buy the
additional. You don't
hardware.
have to. You don't.
But it's nice to.
You bought them?
I bought them and I have not opened them yet
No.
because I don't really play the NES games. But the SNES games I will play like crazy because they're amazing. A lot of them.
I didn't buy it. I thought it looked stupid.
The rail looks stupid.
Charging on the side of the system, that kind of irritated me a little bit.
Well, I hope if they do this SNES one that it's. I hope that rail is not there because in the picture that rail was not there. But
Okay.
people are wondering like, is it going to be there or not? Because that schematic or illustration, whatever it is, could be. That may not be the final thing.
That's true, but
I
also
just hope it would be like a wired charger.
remember the SNES controller also had shoulder buttons.
Yeah.
So there were 6 buttons, 4 in the face and then 2 in the shoulders. So that could interfere potentially, or knowing Nintendo, they're going to have some weird attachment that you need to like hook on the top so
No.
that it charges.
Oh.
No, they can't do
charges
that. They
with
can't
the-
do that. They can't do
Oh,
that.
no.
I
I
feel
just
like
thought
they'd
of
be
that.
smarter and just not do the rail and just be like, all right, let's be realistic here. Let's just have this as a wired. Like to charge it with a wire.
Yeah,
Like how the
just
Pro controller is.
give it a USB Type-C port on the top. Let me plug it in like the Pro controller,
Yep.
and let me charge it that way. It would make a lot more sense. It would make it easier to put the shoulder buttons on it, and it would go along with Nintendo not having a whole lot of consistency with some of their stuff, to be honest.
That's true. No, that's a
But
good point.
It would be silly to slide the controllers up on top.
And plus those,
on the
the SNES controllers, I think if you had to slide them on the Switch, they would extend further than the NES ones. I don't know.
I don't know the size dimensions. That was my thought. Is like, how do they fit on the dock? I guess they're small enough with the dock to fit on there. But
We may know soon.
yeah, that should be interesting. I mean, personally, I think it's a no-brainer decision to do. I don't know if it's inevitable. Like, I don't care if it's this. I don't care if they start saying we're going to charge like virtual console style pricing, where okay, we'll put them out there, but they're $8. I'll buy them.
The same. The ones I want, I will definitely pay for again.
Because there was some information back in January that was data mined from Nintendo Switch Online for SNES games, and that caused the rumor mill to stir up then.
Right.
And some of those titles are kind of boilerplate titles. Like, these are titles that anytime Nintendo does anything with Super Nintendo, these are the games that are there.
Yeah.
So if you have the SNES Classic, none of these titles would surprise you, but apparently there was information on there for Super Mario Kart, Pilot Wings, Legend of Zelda: Link to the Past, and Super Mario World, all of which are titles are on the SNES Classic and were some of the first ones to hit the Virtual Console.
Do you think if and when, 'cause I'm going to go with when, this service comes out, Star Fox 2 will be on it?
You know, that's a really good question.
We can all dream.
I think they would, because now they have the code is done and stuff. You know what I mean?
So Star
Like,
Fox...
they've used it. Why not put it up there again?
Star Fox 2 was a title that was released as a bonus exclusively on the Nintendo Switch, or I'm sorry, the Super Nintendo Classic. So that's the only Nintendo hardware that you can actually play that game. And in doing research for the episode, I was looking up SNES titles, and it was just funny to see that, oh, Star Fox 2, and the release date was 2017.
Yeah.
It's like decades beyond anything else that came out on that system, which was kind of cool. If this is going to be a reality, and hopefully in the near future, although I could probably guess next year. I think they're going to cruise through this holiday season with the light and the titles they have coming out and not need this. So this could be a good, all right,
I could
maybe
see
springtime
them,
next year.
I don't think they're gonna wait. I think that's like to draw more people into the service because renewal is coming up middle of September.
That's a good point.
So, and a lot of people are like, do I need this service? What am I getting out of it? Like, that's an incentive.
That's a really good point. Also,
they
thinking about the amount of people that will be picking up Switches
Yeah.
for the Switch Lite, for Pokemon, for some of these games that are coming out end of year that will have the system for the first time, that could be an extra incentive for those people to do that on top of the people that will be renewing. That's a really solid point. I didn't think about that.
It could be an attach in retail stores too. Like, hey, you can pick up, like you can buy Nintendo Switch Online while you're in the store while you're buying your Switch.
Like a
Yes.
gift card kind of thing?
Yeah.
Or
So
a
you
code
can
to redeem.
Yeah,
kind of thing?
the same way you'd buy like Xbox Live or something.
Yeah.
You know, maybe so it would be an attach while they're selling things.
Right.
Like, hey, buy your Switch. By the way, just so you know, you can pick up Nintendo Switch Online while you're picking up your Switch. Don't you want to go home and play these games online? You can't do it without this. Sorry.
Yeah, no, that's true. And
True.
knowing Nintendo at retail, they love bragging about attach rates. And so selling this as an accessory or a yearly subscription service would be huge. And having worked video game retail, people love it too because it's some of these things are such an easy attach, especially if the price does stay as low as it does. Oh, cool, you're picking up a new Switch and Mario Kart. Okay, well, you're going to need Nintendo Switch Online to play with friends. It's $20 a month or a year, and you know, for some parents that could be a no
That's
brainer.
like, okay, yeah, give it to me.
Don't
Right.
your kids want to play with their friends? $20 lets them play for the entire year.
Right, and at that point, if you're spending $300-$400, an extra $20 is a drop in the bucket.
Yeah, absolutely.
So, all right, so we're gonna all then hang on Kevin's optimism in that this is gonna be something that is coming out soon.
Very soon. Next
Are
month.
there any games that you guys would like to see on this system? If we take away some of the obvious ones, like if you remove a lot of the games that came out on the Super Nintendo Classic, like what are the deep cuts that you would love to see show up? And we'll say it's a wish list because there are going to be some that are just licensing issues will never happen. What would you say you would want on this system?
I think they could finally put Super Scope on there, and it wouldn't be difficult to play.
How would you play that?
Well, because I mean, it wouldn't work as well with the Switch Lite, but you've got
IR
the
pointer.
IR
yeah,
pointer
that's
in
right.
the one Joy-Con.
One use
Just
for
take it,
everything.
flip it around, and you can shoot. I mean, it's not like the actual Super Scope
that
that
would
you're
be fun. That would
using,
be fun.
but you could still use it, and you wouldn't have to be like, oh, buy another gun. It comes with the Switch.
Yeah.
Would we be able to go back to the Wii era for a second and have a third-party company churn out an accessory that was the big bazooka that you just slide the Joy-Con in so
Yep.
I can feel...
Wait, it'll be a VR kit.
I was just thinking
VR,
Labo.
Like a Labo
Ooh.
kit. I could see that. They
Oh
would
my
totally-
God.
They,
Oh my
they could
God.
do that easy.
That's brilliant.
That'd be
I didn't
cool.
think about that.
I'm going to be so
either.
disappointed when this doesn't happen now.
Yeah, right? Holy
Why
cow.
did I say that?
Oh,
Oh,
man.
man.
Yeah,
What
I
was I
wanted that
thinking?
as a kid. I looked at magazines of and it was buns.
I got to play that once, and I was just like, all right, whatever.
Oh, really?
Like a friend had it, and I was like, that's cool.
My sister had the game, but not the Super Scope.
Oh yeah, my friend had the scope.
Oh my
neat.
God, they could have gotten together and we could have
Right?
played the
It
game.
was neat, but it was whatever.
Feel
A
like-
game I never played and hope would be on this, and I think it would, is Chrono Trigger.
How have you never played
I
Chrono
never
Trigger?
had access to it.
I'm leaving this podcast.
No, I need you.
My uncle never, all my SNES games, I didn't have one for the longest time, but my uncle's house, I spent every summer there, he had tons of stuff. So I would binge play things there. He never had Chrono Trigger. So I never knew about it until years later.
You
and
ever
I
tell
heard
him he
it's
was wrong?
amazing. What?
You ever tell him he was wrong?
Sorry, what's wrong with you?
Just wrong.
Uh,
It's such a
gosh.
good game.
Yeah, that's an
Yeah.
amazing game,
It
and,
really
and
is.
I
Is
don't.
that on the classic?
It's not on the classic.
think
that
so.
can be,
That
but we won't talk about
that was
how.
Shh,
one of
quiet.
the big omissions when that thing launched, and I
Yeah.
believe
Mana is.
collection of not collection.
Secret
The
of
Secret of
Mana
Mana
is,
is
yeah.
that's right. But that was one of the big omissions, which is weird because I believe Joe might know. I feel like you would know. Is Chrono Trigger available on iOS? Is there an iOS port of that
Oh
game?
my God, it's on Android.
Okay,
Wow.
so
And
then
it's-
it
I
might
mean,
be
it's
on. You might be able to play it on
garbagey, but
mobile,
you
and I
might
know
be,
the
yeah.
ports were terrible. Square.
Supposedly they fixed the one on Steam. I have not played it because I own Chrono Trigger on too many consoles.
Huh.
So I haven't played it, but supposedly they fixed the one on Steam. Realistically, buy it buy a Nintendo DS, buy Chrono Trigger on DS, and it is all you will ever need.
that's what I'm
Have it on the
told.
DS?
Yeah,
and it's great.
and
As a
that's
physical or digital?
yeah, no
as a
physical.
physical.
That's the preferred way to play it from a lot of people.
Oh,
They
wow.
think that was the best port.
That second screen just makes
and the
such
second
a
screen
difference.
definitely helps
Is it
out
on
too.
DS or 3DS?
DS.
Oh, well, I
yeah.
ain't going back to
It
that.
just makes such a big difference.
Well, you can play it on the
Really?
3DS.
Yeah, like
Oh, yeah, true. I forgot about that.
on the PlayStation, they ported it to PlayStation originally, and there was so much. The only real problem is it lagged when you open the menu by
Oh,
like
that's
3
lame.
seconds, and it killed it. On the other hand, when you play on the DS, you have all your attacks on the bottom, and you can
Oh.
just select attack, select target, and go. You don't have to like dig through menus or
I may have
anything.
to find
Yeah,
this then.
that's a really, really
I would
good
lend
port.
it to you, but I'm sorry.
No, don't.
I
I'm
just
gonna lend you some of my favorite games.
could-
I don't loan stuff to
exactly.
anybody. Like that.
it's worth any amount of money.
Wow.
Though. It's very,
All right,
very
I'll
cheap.
stop
I'm
being generous
protective.
with
I'm
you guys
protective over
then.
my physical copies of games.
Yes,
Sorry.
but if you wanted to play something that I owned, I would be more than happy to lend it to you.
Like you will never touch my Switch Okami cartridge.
I don't want to
A
touch your
game you
Switch
would never
card.
art.
get out. That game is. He hasn't played. Whatever. That's for another time.
Yeah, it will be. Yeah,
Separate
so play that one.
podcast.
Chrono Trigger would be a very, very good one. I've
Absolutely.
played it through 3/4 of the way like 4 times. I've never actually finished it because it does get a little
Intense.
If you're underpowered, you're just screwed.
Oh wow.
But it
It's
was-
strange. You have to grind in that game.
Yeah.
And the way the battle system's laid out, you wouldn't think that you need to grind because the battles are scripted to an extent.
A little
Like the
bit.
random battles, I mean, are scripted, like where their locations
Yeah,
are
yeah,
scripted.
yeah.
So you think, oh, as long as I go through every battle, I'll be fine. And then you hit a point and you're like, nope, I am woefully underpowered and I'm like thousands of years in the future.
or in the past.
Or the past,
Play the game,
whichever.
Kevin. It's
I'm,
really
I'm
good.
like, what is
Game.
happening right now?
Chrono.
yes,
Kevin.
time. I get
There
it.
you
I
go.
get it. There's
Yes.
a clock in the logo.
Yeah. You also have a ship called the Epoch, but we're not going to go any
All right,
further
can we
than that.
not?
Okay, yeah,
I need to get the game.
fantastic soundtrack
Okay.
too.
Yes,
Yeah, no,
soundtracks.
play that. I hope that comes. I hope it's a decent port as well, because for as many games as
Hmm.
Square Enix is just kind of throwing out there with all these Final Fantasy ports,
Mm-hmm.
they always seem to have issues.
Really?
Yeah, they're very buggy or very glitchy. There was a big one with, was it 9
Oh,
or
I think
8
9
with the
got
music?
patched.
One of
Yeah, it
them was
9.
like, oh, we're gonna play the song, but every time you go into battle, the song stops.
Mm.
And then when you got out of the battle, the song would start again. So you actually wouldn't be able to progress through any of the soundtracks. It would just play the same song over and over and over again.
Did they
There's a
fix
huge
that?
bug with Final Fantasy X also, where it's actually just one long cutscene.
Well, most of that game is cutscene, or at least from the 10 hours I played, but it's on the
I mean, it's an
potentially
enjoyable
trade-in
game, but
pile.
I might buy that off you.
So I'm hoping Joe's thinking of games because he didn't fill out his notes.
know what
So
you're
I
talking
have a
about.
few, and,
He
and
said
one of
Super
them,
Scope.
yeah, he did say Super Scope.
I
That's
did.
true.
The answer before any of you.
All right,
Carry on.
I will give you credit for that. Especially the Labo connection. Yeah, that was a really strong
Yeah,
one.
right?
Kind
on
of
this
a kind of a
podcast.
repeat or dupe because I know it's been out there, but Yoshi's Island on the Super Nintendo. Joe's hugging his heart now.
Also a great
Um,
soundtrack.
Fantastic.
All the Yoshi
soundtrack.
games. They're just so
Um,
upbeat and vibrant. It's just fun to listen to.
Yeah, and it's I keep forgetting that technically is Super Mario World 2. So it's a
Yeah.
sequel to Super Mario World, which I think is in the top 10 greatest games of all time.
Bonkers because
Um,
it takes
But
place.
everyone always forgets that it's Super Mario World 2.
Yeah.
No, fantastic game. I mean, the art direction in that game was unreal.
Yeah.
The level design was fantastic. I always loved the little sections where you're able to like turn into a vehicle and you have to progress through. But that was like one of the first games. And Kevin, if you've never played it, you've never played it?
I only played a little bit of it. Like I need to play that game. 'Cause I
If
know
you like
it's amazing.
platformers,
Yeah, oh,
and
yeah.
and I know you like collectibles.
Oh yes, we'll talk about that later.
This was one of those games that really like you can probably breeze through some of the early levels.
Yeah.
But if you want to find all the red coins and all the flower petals and everything, like it really pushes you
lot
to
of stuff. All right,
replay
cool. Yeah.
and find those hidden areas. So that would probably be like my top one to come back.
You can replay all the levels in that game.
Yeah, I think so.
You can?
Yeah.
All right. Cool.
Yeah. I mean, A Link to the Past would be a godsend, but we'll see.
Oh,
so if I'm
come
going,
on.
if I'm going,
they launch that service, that's totally.
if I'm going deep cuts, I want to see Yoshi, but I also would like to see like NBA Jam, like arcade games that we don't see a lot of anymore, especially in the sports realm, like
Yeah.
NFL Blitz on the
See, I
64
was never big into sports games.
was like
so I
the
can't
last time I played an
speak
arcade
much
game.
about them.
Yeah,
Or
it's
to
just
them.
him.
I had SimCity on my list as well because I love building simulators, and that was a Nintendo-made SimCity game. It wasn't the Maxis
Oh really?
port. Yeah, no, they kind of said, "Hey, can we do this?" And they were like, "Sure." So they actually developed that game. That was a launch
I
title
just
for the Super Nintendo.
Thought of a game because I saw another game you mentioned here.
Mm-hmm.
But did either of you play that? I think it was Terminator and RoboCop game on SNES. I don't remember the title, but you jumped.
Was it like a crossover?
Yeah,
Okay.
yeah, it was crazy.
There were some weird crossovers.
It was
There were
cool.
Some
I
X-Men
just
crossovers.
remembered it
I
'cause
I'm
played.
you had-
intrigued.
Yeah, it was kind of neat. Like you were RoboCop in like the future, like killing Terminators.
I'm gonna track this video
You gotta
down
try-
and
yeah,
see
you
you
gotta look
play.
it up.
We'll get Mike to play it on press start because I'm sure
Yeah.
it's absolutely
he'll love
terrible. Which was the last thing I wrote because I would say probably GameCube, PlayStation, Xbox era was the last time we really started to see an outpour of licensed software games, and there were some really good ones for the Super Nintendo. This was right, like everyone remembers a lot of the notoriously difficult NES games, like Chippendale's Rescue Rangers. Which
Oh my gosh, I loved that game.
yeah, no, so did I, but it was freaking difficult.
Yeah.
And so the Super Nintendo kind of just was able to showcase the world with sound and graphics a lot better, but they still actually like put effort into making these games good.
Yeah.
So like Batman Returns is one of my favorite beat 'em ups. Like I
really
still
good.
think the punch sound effects in those games, like that contact is like one of the best sound effects in video games. It's just so good. And then things like Simpsons and Tiny Toons I threw in there as well because I enjoyed those.
Why isn't
That's
Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles on that? Were those games on the NES?
Turtles in Time was
Turtles
on the
in Time
NES,
was on.
Yeah.
which
No, wait. Turtles in Time was on the NES or SNES?
Super Nintendo.
Super Nintendo, right?
Yeah,
Yeah. And
Turtles
that,
in Time.
Isn't that like the best one?
I think it's the best one.
Yeah.
It's also technically Teenage
Love
Mutant
those.
Ninja Turtles 4, Turtles in Time. So there were 3 other games prior to that.
Mhm.
I
Yeah.
had one for NES.
There were ports of the.
and it was actually fun.
Which one on NES?
He didn't have the original one. If he said it was a lot of fun.
That's true.
No, because that one was
It was-
hard.
it
and
was-
That was.
I mean, it was difficult, but it wasn't like punishingly hard. Like I played
Yeah.
it as a little one,
Yeah.
little tot.
It was probably
Um,
the arcade
little joke.
one port.
You're thinking, I mean, that nightmare,
I'm
that
talking
underwater level
Yeah.
is, no, we all, yes. If you've ever
Played
seen the video of the original NES Ninja Turtles game, watch it. You will be thankful you didn't play it.
Did
And
Mike
if you
play
have
that on
played
Press Start yet?
no, I think that might be a good one to go to. So I apologize. Joe,
No.
Joe, what games are you looking for on this system?
To be completely honest, I didn't have my own Super Nintendo. The Super Nintendo was my sister's, and I was not allowed to play it.
Whoa.
Yeah, it was a
messed
rough
up.
childhood, so I just
Yeah.
had the NES. But I played a lot of Mario All Stars just because just
Yeah.
all the games on there were fun. Even the bad ones were good. They were all fun.
Hey,
I like the secret levels.
Was Mario's missing
Lost
on
Levels?
that?
The Lost Levels, that's it.
Mario Missing is not on that.
No,
Okay,
it's
good.
not. But I enjoyed
But I played
that.
too.
I did too.
But also Street Fighter 2 Turbo.
Yeah, that one's good.
So Turbo's
I would
just
love-
faster? I don't
I think there
never
were more
understood.
characters. I think there were more characters in it.
Okay.
I think there were a
Yeah.
few more.
So I would
If
love to play that
memory serves
again.
me
I remember fighting with my friends like over what color of Ryu was the best color of Ryu.
I remember fighting with friends
anyone's-
how to pronounce Ryu, and I don't think
Ryu
any of
or
us were
Ryu?
ever right.
It's definitely Ryu.
Oh, my friend kept saying it was Rue. Like,
No.
you
No,
don't.
absolutely not.
Your friend's
Okay.
wrong. No, it's definitely watch,
hear that?
Watch
You
the
were
movies.
I don't
Hope this
think I
friend is
want to
watching.
watch.
I mean, don't watch
movies.
the movies,
Ryu.
but in case anyone's wondering out there, Ice Blue Ryu is the best one. Just there's no argument, there's no question.
Remember-
Ice Blue
Is
is the
that
best.
is that
A fact? Yeah.
no? Is that a color scheme in Smash Brothers that you can use to
I-
lose against me with?
Ooh.
I don't know. Small sidetrack. Do you guys remember Marvel vs. Capcom? Remember there's a character named Dan who was basically Pink Ryu?
Dan's in
and-
a lot of Street Fighter games. He's actually a joke character.
He's
Oh,
Yeah.
his
okay.
artwork is actually a spirit in Smash Brothers Ultimate.
Yeah.
I know
He's-
because I have them all.
Because Kevin has all of them.
He's in a Street Fighter Alpha. Or
Okay.
Alpha 2, I think is the one that I have. As far as I know, he's the only character in the game who can taunt multiple times per fight. Everyone else gets one taunt.
So he's a joke character and he's a jerk.
Yeah, he's a dick. His attacks do like no damage.
Oh my gosh.
No, his attacks do like virtually no damage.
the
I mean, you
heck?
can. He's one of those characters that like you can use him and you can have like a legitimate fight with him, and you don't like need to know how to use him, but you need to like know how to play fighters at least rather than button
So the best
mash.
way to play is
So-
Dan v Dan and just see who comes out on
Just-
top.
yeah,
Who's the biggest
absolutely.
jerk. Yeah.
But yeah, he could taunt multiple times. Everyone else could taunt once, and then they wouldn't be able to taunt again. He could just taunt over and over and over again. So I actually did for years tried to play as him, not knowing he was a joke character, and only found it out somewhat recently. I wish I remembered the premise behind why he was a joke character, but he is
But he
not
was.
a serious fighter.
Okay. All right. Well, those are some great games, and hopefully we'll get to play them soon. Going to move through a little bit of news now, quickly, because I know I found this interesting, but I know sales data isn't for everyone. So software numbers for July came out. Nintendo had a good month. Now, hardware across the board was down for all systems. It was down 22%, which makes sense given where we are with Xbox and PlayStation.
Yeah.
They're on the tail end.
We're late in their lifespan, and it's obvious. Like they're talking about how they're late in their lifespan, so obviously sales are going to die a little bit. But I feel like everything's going to be relatively slower on now because everyone's saying, "I'm not going to buy it now. I'm going to wait for Black Friday. I'm going to wait for holidays."
It'll
We're
spike
just
in the
starting to
holiday,
hit that
but
point.
I would fathom by
You think you're
spring
gonna
of
do lots
next year.
bundles and stuff this holiday for them.
Yeah,
Or like sales and bundles and.
so
Definitely.
things definitely slow down around
Definitely.
now.
So we'll see. It'd be interesting to see what happens come September when Nintendo's hardware will spike with Switch Lite.
And Link's Awakening.
Yes. Well, speaking of Zelda,
wait.
Also
in July,
brilliant.
Nintendo held, and I can't remember a recent time that this happened, especially after the flop that was the Wii U, when games trickled out like every few months. Nintendo had 6 of the top 10 best-selling games in the month of July, which is really impressive given
Do you have them
that.
written down there?
What's that?
Do you have them written down there?
I do have them written down there
Okay.
on the spreadsheet you didn't look at. So number one for the month was Madden, Madden NFL 20.
What year is that? 20. Is it 20?
It's
did they
the
do them
most-
a year ahead. I
Yeah,
forget
they
how
did. I
Madden.
think. Fire Emblem was number 2, and Fire Emblem's number 2 is impressive given that it came out in July 26th.
Yeah,
So it came out with 4 days left in the month and still managed to
be in the top 10.
be number 2.
Oh, man.
It's huge.
Wait, is this just Nintendo or all?
This is all.
Oh, wow.
Super Mario Maker was number 3. Marvel Ultimate Alliance 3. The Black Order was 4. Minecraft 5. Grand Theft Auto 5 was 6. Super Smash Bros. Ultimate 7. Mortal Kombat 11 was 8. Mario Kart 8 was 9. And Legend of Zelda Breath of the Wild was number 10. So
That's incredible.
Nintendo big hitters are still in the top
there,
10
yeah.
at this point.
I mean, between games that came out
You
2
know what
years
I'm
ago,
surprised is not
Yeah.
on there? Mario Odyssey.
I was just gonna say Odyssey.
Yeah.
Yeah,
That is a strange omission, but this is also for 1 month. This isn't
True.
like of all time up to this point. So
Yeah,
just
yeah.
for the month of July.
Oh, yeah.
Um,
That's crazy.
Right, which could be why we saw that watermelon tweet.
Oh, are we
Kevin.
getting into that? Are we getting into that now?
Yeah, we'll jump.
Do it.
We'll jump
my
ahead since
gosh.
we had a good segue there. So
Okay.
Kevin, tell us about this.
All right, so there was a tweet Nintendo of America put out with Mario sitting eating a watermelon, and there have been lots of people speculating what does it mean. And his shirt, I've watched a couple. I saw it when they tweeted
Yes,
it.
but what did the tweet say specifically?
Oh,
what was the keyword
so
in that tweet?
There were 2 keywords in the tweet. Nintendo said Odyssey and Sunshine in the tweet. I forget the exact
Something
sentence.
about just like enjoying
enjoying
sunshine.
your summer Odyssey, and then they ended it with summer sunshine, and people started flipping out right away. The speculation is there going to be a Mario Odyssey port or remake or DLC content for not Odyssey? I'm sorry, Sunshine. Is there going to be a Sunshine port, a Sunshine HD, or Sunshine DLC in Odyssey?
were the words "tugging at Joe's heartstrings" written anywhere in that tweet, or were they just
Maybe
implied?
in the comments.
They might have
Maybe
been
in the
implied.
Yeah, I think there was a banner in the back that said it was just a middle finger.
Somebody
emoji,
pointed out.
Joe.
Somebody pointed out too. I forget who it was. So, but his fingernails and toenails were very detailed too, and I was like, "What?"
Yeah,
Like,
there's been a
why?
lot of weird
Incredibly weird.
Nintendo.
Yeah, but the fact that they did that.
Yeah,
So,
but
Well, there's been some weird
Never- I mean,
Nintendo
he is a
body
human.
shaming lately.
He's
You see
human.
the picture of Wario and without his shirt on in the Olympic one, and
I
people
don't
are talking
wanna
about
see
that.
that.
There's a lot of people out
My
there that are
gosh.
obsessed with what these characters look like without clothes.
yes.
That kind of startles and
But
scares me.
and then some. I forget who it was. I think it was. It was Arlo on YouTube.
Okay.
He did the whole video of it. I loved it. But speculating, like, just wondering, he has 2 watermelon seeds on him. So, like, Super Mario Sunshine 2, maybe? Well, I'm like, oh, man.
Yeah. So there's a lot of rumors there about some sort of Sunshine announcement.
yeah.
I'm
I
not
can't
holding
see a
my
Sunshine
breath.
I'm not
too.
either.
I'm not either. I think it's just.
No.
I think it was just a coincidence. I guess just like, oh, we
Yeah.
happen to say this. We didn't really mean it. Sunshine's just a thing.
Sunshine is a thing outside.
Yeah, please go,
Especially in
please go
summer.
out there.
Go ahead and see some.
But
of
I
it.
can't see a Sunshine 2 coming out. Like a game that came out for GameCube that like while it was popular, it's more of a nostalgia hit kind of thing.
Yes.
In my opinion, like most people see it very fondly, but it didn't have a lot of sales. Nobody really knows about it. It feels like I just
Oh,
can't see a
there's gonna be
second one
comments.
coming.
Yeah,
There's
no,
gonna be
I think
comments
there's a
coming
lot
after
of
you,
people
Joe.
that
Good.
really would like to
Discussion.
see something more of this game.
I'm not saying I wouldn't like to see it. I'm just saying I don't expect it based
all right,
on.
so
its
can I talk about
legacy
this a little
or
more?
lack thereof.
Yeah,
The
no, go
Mario
ahead, please.
Odyssey artwork, that map had Isle Delfino in it.
Okay.
All right, and nothing came of that. But here's the thing: like, is it too late to add DLC to Mario Odyssey?
I don't think it is.
Some people say it is, but I don't. That's an evergreen title, as Nintendo likes to say.
The next game hasn't come out. I don't think it's too late.
Yeah.
I don't
Honestly,
know.
Or
maybe
should
you'll
they
just
save it for Odyssey 2? Because that's coming.
You'll just start
That's so
refreshing
common.
sales.
And that's
Yeah,
why
right?
Yeah, they absolutely. I think it's a good idea.
I don't think it's coming. And I don't think it's too late. Like, they could do it, but
Odyssey
it's just
2 or DLC?
DLC.
Oh.
I think Odyssey
Don't-
2 would come.
Okay.
But I think that title specifically falls into this weird category of games that Nintendo didn't do a really great job of supporting with additional content.
Yeah, they just got costumes, right?
You got a couple costumes, and you got that Luigi hide the balloon, and other people can try and find it mode, and that was fun for never because I wasn't even interested in playing it.
I did to get coins.
Okay, and that's well,
But then, like, have I played it in a while? No. So, like, it doesn't.
But it's a
haven't
good way to
touched
get
it.
people back into the
Yeah.
game, just for a little bit here and there.
right.
Just keep them engaged.
So I have to fathom that it's not a title that Nintendo wasn't thrilled about sales wise. I think it sold gangbusters.
Yeah, I think so.
My personal opinion is that I think that Nintendo games, when it comes to Mario specifically, they are so. I'm drawing a blank on the word.
Like,
meticulous
here's everything,
in
and that's
how
it?
they want this to be presented and developed and designed, that they're not going to say, okay, here's another world, and we're going to do another world every month. I have to imagine it takes a long time to develop those games and design those games. That they wouldn't crank out DLC like that, which is odd given the structure of the game itself. Seems like it's really easy to like, okay, and now your balloon goes one more place. Like that seems like that structure seems like would make sense for them to throw in extra worlds, and we haven't seen anything major for that game. So I'd have to imagine that it's gonna be in a sequel.
That ship has sailed, pun intended, because of the Odyssey.
Boo, Kevin.
Hate on me. I'm not good with puns.
But who knows? You know, they could do Odyssey 2 and then never close out that trilogy like they did with Galaxy, and that would make me upset. So
I'm saying it's going to be a trilogy, Tom.
because
Do you think they would go back to
actually, now that you mention
Galaxy type gameplay? I don't think they would.
Galaxy was so good though.
I'm not saying it wasn't good.
I just
love
see
both of
Odyssey
them.
as the natural progression
Yes.
from Galaxy. I'm sorry, Odyssey is what came of Galaxy. I don't see
Right.
them going back in any sort
I
of
don't
way.
either.
I can see them doing similar things.
Have like the mechanics in an Odyssey style game.
Yeah. I don't see them
Kinda.
basing an entire game around it, but like
Yeah.
a planet that matches that, or a couple planets, yeah. But I just, like I said, I see it as the natural progression from
Yeah.
game to game.
Well, we'll see.
We'll see. We will see.
Continued in
September
the
Direct.
rumor mill. This was actually broke yesterday. There was a Switch case that leaked on Amazon for like a hot minute. That was
Literally a hot minute.
yeah, it was
It was so
gone
fast.
But it was branded with the Overwatch logo,
Mm-hmm.
and it was officially licensed by Nintendo and Blizzard, the
Blizzard.
developers of Overwatch. So this has led to the speculation that Overwatch it will be ported to the Switch.
Yep.
On top of which,
Somebody screwed up.
oh no, someone
Big
did.
time.
On top of which, that there will be a character from Overwatch that will appear as DLC in Smash Bros.
Oh yeah, that rumor instantly started. What's the girl's name? I don't know.
Tracer.
Tracer.
Yes.
Yeah.
Yes. So a
She's
lot of
like their
people thinking
logo, kind of.
she's like the,
Yeah,
the
she's on the
mascot,
box art, I
right?
think,
Yeah,
right?
yeah,
Yeah.
absolutely.
Yeah, and
She's like the first character
she's a
you play
female
as,
too, and some
other than
people are
Soldier.
pointing out there's no female characters in the DLC with the exception of Kazooie, but she's
A bird and
joint-
part of it. Yeah.
Yeah, you guys, you know. But so there's that speculation.
Yeah. I don't know. I don't know.
I mean, I feel like this next direct, which is probably in September, that's getting announced.
And that was the next part of the rumor mill. The final part of the rumor mill is that we will be getting a direct soon, as Nintendo, I believe, historically has released them in September.
Mm-hmm.
So we might be right around the corner from some information.
Oh yes.
Which, given the titles they've got
Yes.
coming out in the next 2-3 months, I don't know what more they have left to show.
Do you think they're going to talk more about, like, more in depth about Luigi's Mansion, Link's Awakening? Like, those games have got their coverage. Like, I could see them mentioning it. Like, don't forget, these, like, Link's Awakening comes out this date. Luigi's Mansion 3 comes out this date.
That's all I could see them doing, too.
Right?
Just like, by the
Just-
way, these games are still coming out. This is
Yeah.
like they're not going to let it die down.
Unless
I mean, they
there's-
have a little bit, but
Because
they're
they
not
need
going
to
let
build
it
hype
go.
about other titles now.
unless there's new
Yeah.
features, I would kind of hope they don't
System features.
talk.
Oh, for the
no,
games.
like game features,
Yeah.
like for those games in particular, like a new I don't know, mechanic in Luigi's Mansion that we
Right.
didn't know existed.
Like we talked about probably the big new mechanic, Luigi.
Yeah.
But we talked about the
Terrible name.
we talked about the big stuff. I mean, I don't know everything about the game, so I can't say
I
what's
haven't
big
been
and what's not.
following it. I'll play it, but
but-
I haven't followed it.
But I mean, they talked about like your main mechanic and what the game is about. I don't feel like they're going to give too much more. I mean, when does Luigi's Mansion come out?
October? Is it the
Is
end
it
of October?
Halloween?
I think it is.
I think it's Halloween or close to it.
I think they'll get a special mention. It'll get a, by the way, like you said, by the way, these games are coming. Don't forget about these great games coming soon. And we'll see a screenshot or like a small little clip, and that'll be it.
Do we want to do some September direct predictions really quick since we're rumor milling here?
Let's save that. Let's save that for
Okay.
the next episode.
All right,
Um,
because I have one.
all right, if you have one, go for it.
Bayonetta 3.
Oh, well,
that's
that's-
peep about it since that little trailer drop at the Game Awards, I think it was.
Yeah.
So I think they're gonna start showing that soon because Astral Chain will have released.
Yes. If I was going to make, I would say probably not till next year.
Really?
Yeah.
Wow.
I mean, I'm thinking right now, between now and the end of the year, and we're going to hit, if we just hit the major titles, Link's Awakening, Luigi's Mansion, Pokemon. All right, and those are first party.
I don't mean coming out this year. I mean start showing.
And I don't think they'll talk about it until those games have cleared.
Oh, okay.
They've been very consistent in saying this is what's coming out in the realistic future, with the exception of like Metroid and now Bayonetta.
Don't.
That
Metroid's a sore spot for everybody.
I just can't wait for that.
they
game.
won't get people hyped or excited or thinking about games that are coming out next year until
closer.
at
So
least
that,
next
yeah.
year. And Nintendo usually does something beginning of the year, January-ish, normally, right?
Yeah, but like, what? I'm trying to think time wise. Like, I feel like they're gonna show something new-ish or more about something they've mentioned, or
They
just
might,
or
or
just
it might
say,
be nothing.
Hey, guess what else is coming in December? Metroid Prime Trilogy HD or remaster or whatever they call it.
By the way, buy the Switch Lite.
I will. That's definitely gonna be in the
Yeah.
direct.
Yeah.
Totally.
So if that direct even does exist, so there's a couple possibilities. I'm not going to hold my breath on anything too revealing there.
Yeah,
E
the
with the
SNES stuff would probably be in there though.
I think that would
Think?
be one of the bigger focal points, and it could be, Nintendo will drop a 20-minute direct, and they'll drop a 6-minute direct. They could say
True.
we're going to do a direct focus on Nintendo Switch Online with new features, and maybe that's one of them. So you never know.
I didn't
You
even
never
think
know
of
with
that.
them.
The direct could just be that.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I mean, when Labo came out, they did a 4-minute like trailer essentially, and people were like, "Okay."
Yeah.
But like it got people talking about it, so that's what they might do.
And then the Lite came out, and we got like 20 minutes of people not playing their Lite.
What? No,
The
they were
what?
playing it
What?
in
Well, they were
traditional
playing it, but in traditional
Mario Nintendo
skateboarding
fashion.
with-
Yeah, at the skate park, at the basketball game, other places where you
But no
hang out
rooftops.
with friends. No rooftops. No,
rooftops.
Karen stands alone. Speaking of things coming out, Nintendo did have an indie game showcase about a week or so ago with a ton of really cool titles
Yeah.
that are coming out now and in the near future. Some were released that day.
Yeah.
If you've ever played Hotline Miami, it's awesome. I recommend it. But there were some
Great color scheme. I'll say
the
that.
music
It's
is
got-
really good too. Although if
Yeah,
you
yeah.
have a headache or are prone to migraines, don't play the soundtrack
just like
because
screeching 8-bit noises.
it's just very club oriented. So it's a lot
okay.
of it'll hurt your head. But some really cool titles peeked out of this. Kevin, you got the big one.
Yeah.
What are you looking forward to that you saw?
And they ended that on Ori and the Blind Forest. I was super excited that got officially announced.
So Ori and the Blind Forest is a Microsoft Studios.
Microsoft published it.
Okay, so Microsoft
But
published
the
it.
developer was an indie.
Okay.
So there were rumors about Ori coming to the Switch back around or after E3.
Well, it was in the
It was
conversation with Cuphead, I think, at the time, and then we got Cuphead.
we got
shortly
Cuphead.
thereafter.
So I'm just like, and Tom, you told me the music is amazing in the
Oh
game.
my God.
Visually, that game looks
It's beautiful.
Yeah, it's gorgeous.
beautiful.
It's
And that's the
beautiful.
first thing where I was like, I need to play this game. Like, I even thought about getting what is that on Xbox One?
Yeah.
or 360.
Xbox
Like,
One.
but now that they announced it, I was like, oh, good, I don't have to buy another system. So I cannot wait to play that game.
I think the hype kind of
Cannot
went
wait.
up and down, at least from my experience. The hype went like up and down with that pretty quickly because like, oh my god, Ori's coming to Switch, and it's the first Ori, not
Well,
Ori
yeah.
2.
Well, that makes sense.
Which-
I don't think
yeah,
Microsoft's going to
absolutely.
give both, but it could
No,
open the
but-
door for the sequel to eventually
yeah,
come
and
out.
that was
I
kind of my
hope
next
so.
point. So Microsoft, after that came out, after they announced that, Microsoft said that like, oh, we have no more plans to put any like first party games or anything on other consoles, so we're gonna stop doing that. But they've also said like, hey, we're pushing out Xbox Live to other consoles, and we
Yeah.
want to have that on Switch. So I think, I mean, not that Xbox Live means that Xbox games will be coming, but it would be stupid for them to not do that. And if you look at Microsoft's other, other products and whatnot, that's what they're doing. Since they don't have Windows Phone anymore, they're taking all of their products and saying, hey, we're making sure this works on Android and iPhone. Android's their top priority, but we're saying like, hey, to really make sure our product line works everywhere, we're going to put our products everywhere. So, Microsoft Word works on Android and iOS, so I think they're going to start doing that with their games too. Xbox Live first is going to go out, but they're going to start putting all of these games out on other consoles. Not all of them. They're still going to want people to buy Xboxes. They're going to want people to
Right.
come to them to get games, but they're going to make sure, hey, we can make our money from Xbox, but we can also make it from the people who have a Switch and aren't going or can't buy
Right.
an Xbox.
Right. And I
You
think
know,
they've been selective with their titles that make sense for that platform,
they're
Yeah.
going to curate it very tightly, but they will.
which is great. And
Yeah.
Nintendo and Microsoft seem to be good friends now.
Thank goodness.
At least it appears that way in social media.
It would be stupid for Microsoft to not branch out in that way and just throw the other consoles a handful of games. But it would
Nintendo
money-
will
it's
never.
money
It'll
for
never
them.
go the other way though.
Oh no,
Mm,
I can't see Nintendo doing that.
Maybe with some.
no, nothing big. I don't think they'll get like Mario or anything, but I could see
No.
them getting a less disgraceful version of Bomberman than the Xbox version of Bomberman.
I'm thinking
comes up
like
again.
they'll get like a Star Fox, something that like is the B tier.
No way.
I
No,
just
depends
said
on
if we
the
that.
even
Star
get
Fox.
another Star Fox,
It depends on
don't
the
get
Star
it going
Fox.
on Star Fox.
They'll get a part of
I
Star
need
Fox Zero.
Star
and then-
Fox 64 3D remade for the Switch with no 3D.
They'll get an adventure
Please.
version of Star Fox. They'll
I
get
like
one
Star Fox Adventure.
But they'll get, that's what I'm saying. They'll give one of those I could see on an Xbox, but I can't see like the classic like Star Fox 64.
Oh, no way.
No, that's
No.
going to stay on Switch.
way.
So, like I said, they'll curate tightly, but I think they're going to start putting games out on Switch just slowly and selectively.
Speaking of games on Switch, it's a professional transition right there.
I like it. It was good.
It was,
Thank
it was
you.
good.
Very quickly,
Transparent.
if you guys, if you're playing something new
Ooh.
or have tried something new in the last like week or so, like something that you just dabbled with, even, to give us a quick description of something that you've been playing.
Do you want to go first on this one?
I'm not going to lie. I haven't played anything new.
All right, so it's my turn.
I'm terrible.
Joe's terrible.
I've been studying and
Boo.
you know what I've been doing? I've been playing like I'm so sorry. I've been playing like passive games just to make sure I've like got some time in. So I put a little bit of time into Mario Odyssey recently because
Okay.
I wanted to go back to it actually because it's just been so long. And like I know
Yeah.
I like this game, let me play it. Which I got to say it's actually a hard game to go back to because where the hell was I? What was I doing?
Right.
But I've been jumping into like I've been cooling down with Geometry Wars.
oh my
because
gosh, you still play that?
Yeah, it's a fun
That
game.
that is a
I'm
fun
not gonna
game.
lie, I didn't play it for like weeks, and then I jumped in
are
and
you playing it on?
demolished my high score on PC, but I use an Xbox controller.
Oh.
It would be perfect on Switch, though. To be completely honest, it's a twin stick shooter, and you could play with any control
Yes,
scheme.
but
like,
there's
you could turn it
Joy-Con
sideways, you
drag,
could-
so it would actually be terrible because your
Pro
ship would just end in the
controller.
corner.
well, depending on
Pro
which one
controller.
drags, because it could just constantly shoot to the right.
Even better.
Yeah, just always shooting,
always
always pick it
shooting.
up.
Oh my
yeah,
gosh.
yeah. But it's a good cooldown game.
That
but
game's so cool.
Yeah,
Yeah, sometimes you need a game to just like digest or break away from like a huge like I'm gonna go from Fire Emblem to Astral Chain, and that's gonna
Two
be
big games.
to Dragon Quest to Zelda. So I'm gonna be dead in October. Sometimes
So
you
you will
need
run the
something.
podcast.
Yes, you need something to decompress with big time. I've
Yeah,
been playing
absolutely.
since I picked up. There's a big sale in the eShop, so I picked up like 7 games.
Wow.
I
so
picked
damn
up
wish list
And,
emails.
and none of them are Castle Crashers yet.
no,
They're
but
gonna
I
release
did
that
play
the
a
last
little
day
game
of
called
summer.
Flame in the Flood, which is like a procedurally generated survival-esque type game.
Joe has so many emotions about.
Joe
but he'll
warned
let
me
Tom talk
about buying it
did.
after I bought it.
Well-
But I put in like an hour. I actually found it to be kind of soothing in that like the survival elements felt real and not forced.
Too real. But
Yeah, no, like you'll go to islands and go, oh, there's nothing here. But the whole concept of the game is you kind of just have a dog and you go down this river and stop at various points and scavenge for stuff and try and survive. And you have to take care of like your health meter and your sleep meter and your food and water. I died like 4 times because a wild boar broke my leg and I didn't have any medicine or materials to make medicine. So I died of sepsis on the raft.
This is the Oregon Trail.
Like regularly.
Wow.
Yeah, no, and it's funny because I felt bad one time. Like my character was clearly going to die, and I had the option to sleep, and I was like, all right, I can make it another minute, or I'm just going to die in my sleep. So like I found a shelter and was like, goodbye, and I just let her go to sleep and die in her sleep. Well, because it was going to happen, whether it was somewhere else.
Sometimes you have no choice.
I figured it was the
coming.
humane thing to do. So that was kind of cool. I think it was like $8, and the soundtrack's really good.
It's fantastic vibe, beautiful, like perfect soundtrack, but it's just not the perfect game.
That's okay.
But that's its own podcast.
I
I could rant. I ranted to you about that for a while. So
also spent
did
some
you
time
enjoy
on
it though?
rant.
I did, yeah.
Okay,
No,
that's
I can
what
definitely
matters.
see going back to it since it does have that you don't need to pick up where you left off per se. You can just kind of start fresh.
And there's an endless mode too. I mean, the whole game's endless mode, but there's an endless
Yeah.
mode that you just kind of keep going down the river and
So that was
see
kinda
how
cool.
far you can get.
Put some time into the Dragon Quest demo. I don't know if you guys got a chance to play that.
I did for 5 minutes.
I played for an hour.
I heard that demo was like 10 hours long.
Yeah, or
I
up
was-
to. I think it gets you to a certain
I
point of
was,
the
like,
story. So I've
shocked.
heard people finishing in between like 7 and 8, but it realistically could take 10. And all that progress carries over as well to the main game if that's something you're looking to get. I think it's beautiful. Like I was stunned at how good it looks.
Yeah, me too.
Um,
Like the intro blew me away. I mean, I texted you right
Yeah,
away.
yeah,
I was like, I am so hyped just from the intro to this alone.
yeah. And then some of the voice acting was a little wonky. It seems like everyone's this weird hybrid of Australian and Irish that they can't figure out which. And some of the combat stuff seemed a little weird.
The first battle, I was like, whoa, this is not regular turn based. Like you can move.
You can move.
I wasn't used to that.
And you can select attack and your character will attack, but it didn't give me, like I didn't see an indicator as to when it would be ready to attack. It just kind of pops up. So
So like the Tales of games, like the
Kinda.
Spirit, where you should, like run around a
of.
little arena and beat people up.
Yeah.
yeah.
Okay.
So I don't know. It did look beautiful. It mechanically moved a little slow for me. So we'll see if I go back to it. It was a game I was looking forward to and intentionally passed on the PlayStation once I heard the port was coming because the music was really good too.
Yeah, and this one has like orchestra music, right?
Yes.
That's
yeah,
one
fully orchestrated
thing,
by
this
the
one.
Tokyo Symphony Orchestra or something. The name popped up in the opening thing.
They did that.
Kevin, real quick, what are you playing?
I'm playing. I downloaded Okami HD with the Capcom sale
Nice.
because that game is a masterpiece, like Joe said, and Tom has not played it yet, and he will one day because he needs to experience it.
I will. It's just one
But
of
you
those-
can't borrow Kevin's
That
physical copy.
game,
I can't, no.
Yeah, because I will not loan that to anybody. So
No, it frequently goes
And
on
I did say
sale.
earlier, I own the Japanese cart, but I'm not opening it, so I downloaded this because whatever, it's a thing.
Love
I
that kind
like
of
to
money.
have cases, whatever. But that game's amazing, and I love that game. If you like adventure games, like
I heard
Zelda,
very Zelda-esque.
it's very Zelda-esque, and it's gorgeous, 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 gorgeous game. And speaking of Zelda, I dove back into my Breath of the Wild file
Mhm.
and have been playing that like crazy. I got all the Korok seeds, so I have my golden poop trophy now.
I want to know the
game.
percentile of people that played the game, played and finished the game, and then played and finished the game and did all the Korok seeds. Because I have to imagine you're in very small company.
17,
Maybe.
not percent. Total people.
Oh, okay.
That
I
is
thought-
my
I'm-
guess.
I'm
I thought you were going to
finishing-
say you had 17 Korok seeds.
I'm
No,
finishing
I over a little over
everything.
300.
And like
God.
diving back into that, I was like, wow, I miss playing this, and I'm gonna play Master Mode after I play Link's Awakening.
It's just sometimes I'll
game
run
is
around
so
the game
good.
and I'll do nothing for like an hour and be like, oh my god, I've done nothing, but I'm still enjoying this. It's just a fun game to
See,
to
then
so
I'm in the
fun to play.
minority then because that is my favorite game series. And once I was done that game, I was very content
just-
saying, I'm done. I'm
done.
good.
You
I
closed
don't need
Fired
to go
from
back.
the podcast. It's fun.
No, I'm allowed to have a dissenting opinion. Open world games scare me. And
That was
that's-
the first open world game I've ever played too. Like to
I
that
don't
scale.
traditionally like them. So for me to
This
like,
one
I was
paced
very
very
scared
well.
when that game was coming out because I'm like, I'm not gonna like this.
Yeah,
So
you're
the fact that
nervous.
I put 130 hours into it is a
Amateur.
miracle. No, I know,
Exactly.
but that's nothing to sneeze at. I mean,
No, it's a
absolutely.
lot.
It's
Yeah.
a lot of
Yeah.
hours.
like the only other game I played that much was
Sneezing.
Persona, and it was because it took 110 hours to get through the story.
You finished that, right?
I did, and
Persona
it was
5?
amazing. I loved it. All right, so cool. All right, so I wanted to wrap up the show with a couple of our viewer questions. We had a good handful up on the YouTube community. Reach out and ask us some questions. So, in interest of time, we'll probably pick one or two and move on. But I'll always make sure that on that YouTube community post, when our recording date is, because I'll ask for questions. Hopefully, you can give them to us. We'll get the tweets out as well, so you can throw us your questions.
Don't bother. The answer will always be Super Scope.
Oh my gosh.
I know what I'm getting you for your birthday now.
We're going to build you a cardboard Super Scope now.
No, I'm going
That's
to build
the
it
best
out of.
friends ever.
Oh my gosh.
I'll have my students do it. It'll be made out of pipe cleaners and googly eyes.
I'm cool with that.
Yes.
I'm all right with that. Questions.
Okay.
Let's do this.
So the first question. There are some really good ones. I don't know which ones I want to ask, but I kind of want to ask this one. Because it's on topic with everything we've kind of discussed so far today. So this question comes from our YouTube subscriber Stardust Speedway, who asked. Actually, he asked a bunch of questions. So sorry,
wow.
Stardust.
You
I had
picked one?
he picked a teacher-oriented one too, but
Oh.
I know it doesn't always apply to Joe. So I'm
doesn't.
sorry.
Still
Stardust.
work here.
Yeah,
Sorry,
yeah, I know.
Joe, you
It
teach
still-
me so
it
much
still
about
counts.
tech stuff.
There you go.
See?
And yet you
My
refuse to learn anything about this audio visual.
Because the
stuff.
first experience was a nightmare. over
Okay,
here.
anyway.
Anyway.
So Stardust Speedway asked, what's the one game you remember fondly from your childhood and one you'll remember fondly of at this age?
Oh.
Joe
you
seems
go
ready to
first.
go.
You go
Not
first.
Super Scope. I guess we can't go with
I mean,
that.
do you
No.
remember it fondly?
I remember it.
I
remember it was a thing.
Not fondly because I didn't get to play it without the Super
I know
Scope.
it
Oh
existed.
my gosh.
Well, I mean, actually, before the show, we were chatting, and I really did enjoy Super Mario: The Six Golden Coins. I spent a
That was a
lot.
Game Boy game, right?
Yeah, it was Game Boy, and I spent a lot of time playing that. It just, I don't know, it's a little different from the other Mario games. I haven't played it in such a long time, but the way the worlds are separated and the power ups you can get, it's just a bit of a different feel. It might just be nostalgia at this point, but it was a fun game. That said, Zelda is coming out soon, Link's Awakening, and I'm tapping on my phone. Link's Awakening is coming out, and that was my first Zelda game, and it will always hold
Wow.
a special place in my heart.
Okay.
Yeah, it was. And I think, I mean, the question is, I mean, what we remember it so fondly that we pick out things from that game in other games, and just I want that vibe, that kind of feeling that game gives you, and the fleshed out adventure that you could get from such a small Game Boy game. I mean, the big thing with that game is you could steal from the shop.
Yeah.
And if you ran around the guy, you could steal from him. If you did it enough times, everybody in the game would call you thief.
Yes.
I thought if you only did it once, it does that.
No, you have to do it like
You
two
do
or
it a
three
couple
I think
times.
if he
Yeah.
caught you.
Yeah. So when you run back in, he kills you. Actually,
Yes.
after you steal something. Yeah. But it's just it's such a polished feeling that you could steal something from a store and they would call you thief, and they acknowledge the fact that you stole from the store on an original Game Boy game. Something
true.
like you don't even see those kinds of things on newer games and bigger games. So it was just such an interesting thing from, a game that came out in like 88, I think the original one came out.
No, it was later than that. I don't know the
No, I
exact
think the
Didn't
date.
it come
original came out-
after Link to the Past?
No, there was like a DX version that
DX
came out
came
for
out
Game Boy Color.
after-
Yes,
Okay.
it was like you could play it on the original Game Boy, but it had a color palette if you put it in the
Yes.
Game Boy Color.
Wait,
Yeah.
Yeah, and I think it might have had an extra dungeon.
Yes, the
So-
Color Dungeon.
Color Dungeon, which is
Yeah.
in the remake.
Yes.
So
Or reimagining, I should say. I think
great game, lots of polish, fantastic story, still kept things fresh. But again, it was my first Zelda game, so that might be why. Real quick, as far as later games, I'll always remember the Phantom Pain fondly. That's all, Kevin.
Okay.
Wow.
I was gonna say, this is gonna.
Actually, I'll go next. We'll let Kevin wrap it up.
Okay.
So,
Kevin.
game
Kevin.
from.
Kevin, I'm cutting you off.
Oh, okay. Cut me off. Go.
I'm in the driver's seat. No, I wanted to close with your games.
all right.
Since mine actually related to Joe's. So one of the first games I remember fondly was A Legend of Zelda: Link to the Past, and it's probably my favorite video game of all time. I've played it. Would be no lie, hundreds of times. It's probably the closest thing I've ever come to trying to speedrun a game is trying to get through that. I feel like I could do it blindfolded.
Did you find the
At
Chris
this point?
Houlihan room?
The what?
The Chris Houlihan room?
Oh, the room with all the coins.
All the coins.
No,
Get off. You're fired.
go home.
Chris Houlihan's, of course.
Yeah, the Chris Houlihan room with all the blue rupees.
Yeah. Coin. I'm sorry, I meant
Okay.
rupee. I apologize.
I'm messing him
no,
up.
I knew what you were talking about. I can
Okay.
picture it. No, I did not find that.
Really?
No.
Oh.
But
You need to go back and play.
I will happily go back and play when it's released on the Switch. There was something about that game that had so much depth to its story that I don't think I'd ever come across as a young gamer at that time, with characters and events that kind of took place between the light world and the dark world. And I thought it was really cool to see some of the stuff or characters that you'd meet in one world be shown in the other in a different format or different, like just something where you're like, wow, this game feels bigger than it really is.
Yeah.
And that feeling didn't go away till Ocarina, when you finally actually got to explore a little bit more. But I just remember Link to the Past as a kid beating that, and the end credit specifically, as it was kind of showing you different parts of Hyrule and the characters. Some of them were just like kind of like waving to you, and some of them were just like going about their day. And it was just kind of this really like sweet, sentimental moment where you're like, oh, I remember that guy that always ran away from you and you couldn't catch him until you had the Pegasus boots, or the little kid finally was able to go out and use his butterfly net because he wasn't sick in bed anymore. Like things like that I think were really, really cool. And so if there was a game that I remember fondly, I guess a little bit more recently, it's a tough call because there's so many good games out there. Like I actually had to look through my shelf of things that I owned.
I know mine.
And
Is
if
it
I'm
the
going
Phantom Pain?
No, I have not played that game.
if I'm going to go with a more
no interest.
modern one, I don't know if this is a lame answer or an expected answer, but it's
like?
something that I think is I'm big
Better
into.
not say my game.
No, I probably won't.
Right.
I'm more into story-driven games than anything else. So one of the stories that I really enjoyed within the last, I guess, generation was The Last of Us. It was just a really beautifully written, wonderfully written journey between two characters that were not like at opposite ends of the spectrum, but you had an older man taking care of a younger girl. And I just thought it was so well told. That says nothing about how the gameplay was. It was good. It was solid. Nothing that was like reinvented the wheel.
Does that game have a sequel?
It's coming out soon.
That's coming out soon. Okay.
But I thought that story was just, there were moments in that where like my jaw dropped, and then you had to keep playing. So that was something that I probably will remember for a while.
We can talk about it off camera, but that game didn't grab me.
We will talk about that off camera.
Oh,
Kevin, go
Joe's
before I
gonna
punch
debate.
Joe.
All right. So from my childhood, Link to the Past, I agree with Tom fully. Like I love that game, but Super Metroid will forever be an amazing game. I can't even explain why. That game is amazing. The music is amazing. The atmosphere is amazing. Like that game told a story without saying much at all.
Right.
So just atmospherically, like I love that game. And when that comes out on Switch Online, I'll play it again for probably the 50th time. Recently, Splatoon and Splatoon 2.
Okay.
I love those games. And
I didn't even know.
the lore, right? How could you tell?
Yeah.
I have at home like a Splattershot replica, the Dualies replica. I'm not bringing them here because I don't want somebody to steal them. Like Tom would probably do that.
Yeah, maybe.
But just like the lore of that game, the story of that game, the gameplay, like I love that franchise. Love it, love it, love it, love it.
Well,
If you have not played Splatoon or Splatoon 2,
hopefully the third one
Play
will be a
Splatoon.
real thing.
the third one, they better wait till the next system. I'm not ready yet for that.
That's true.
It's,
right.
You
it's
don't
a
want to
good,
start logging new hours.
well-balanced game that's like relatively fair and fun, and it's got like great music.
Oh, the music is
What else?
awesome.
Yeah.
The
Yeah.
music is
Art
awesome.
Art direction, everything about the game is
Yeah.
actually really, really good.
Yep.
Well, that does it for our show today. So, Kevin, Joe, thank you for joining us. Thank you for watching and or listening. You can check out the video podcast on our YouTube channel. That's at Level 30 Games. Or you can check the podcast. It's up on iTunes, working on other platforms for the time being, like Spotify and things. So hopefully in the near future, but they'll be there soon. So make sure you like and subscribe to our stuff. You can check out what we do more frequently. If you're not following us on Twitter, do that. Level 30 at Level 30 Games on Twitter. Trying to be a little bit more active on there. Got a few things coming in the pipeline. Now I know for Kevin and I, the school year starts next week, so there won't be a drought of content, as we know that September's littered with a lot of new releases, but I'm sure Astral Chain will be reviewed before school starts. We know Joe will be handling our Zelda Link's Awakening review. I'm going to bribe
Now I know
Kevin
why.
to do something for the month of September. And we're probably
Hopefully Castle Crashers.
checking in
Kidding.
with you in a couple weeks. So until then, we'll see you guys in the next level. Everyone say bye.
Bye.
Bye.